Hello, David Youngren here. I want to first of all say thank you for joining me today. I am so pleased that you have decided to watch this video, and I hope you stay with me to the end. I want to talk today about the wonder of who you are, because you are more than you possibly can even imagine. You're more than your thoughts. You're more than your physical attributes. You're much more than that. And once you begin to awaken to the wonder of who you are, there's a transformation that takes place, a transformation that involves your mental and emotional and spiritual well-being, that involves your health, that involves what you do, your career. Everything will transform the more you awaken to this reality of who you are. I don't know if you ever looked up into the sky on a dark night, especially as I've had the opportunity in places like Africa where there's no street lights, where there's no other lights except for the sky, and it's completely clear, not a cloud in the sky, and you look up and you literally see thousands of stars, and you cannot help but be in awe and amazement of this thing called life, this universe. Now, I know we're facing a crisis today, and we have all kinds of problems, and sometimes it's hard to even begin to think about these bigger primary questions of life. But I think you would agree with me that if you spend any time in nature, if you spend that time looking into the sky, you cannot help but also begin to ask yourself, who am I to be able to enjoy this beauty and vastness and of life? Who am I? Who am I at the very core? You see, most of us, we were given a name when we were born. We were given a first name, a last name. We were told we were a gender, part of a certain nationality. We may have been given a religious identification, a political identification. We were then grouped into whether we were smart or not so smart, whether we were athletic or not so athletic. We were grouped into maybe a particular sports, maybe basketball because you were tall, or maybe hockey because you were born in one of the northern countries. We have, or maybe soccer. Well, everybody plays soccer, I guess, or football. So we have all these different things that we have accumulated over our lifetime that have defined us, that has said this is who you are. And it's a mental construct. That mental construct, as I said, is about a lot of times external input. People have told you this is who you are. But is that really who you are? Is that really who I am? Is that really who we are as a human race? Is there something greater, something more grand going on? And I would suggest to you that at the very core, even we've even been, even the way we perceive ourselves. A lot of times we have feelings of fear, insecurity, feelings of I'm not enough. But I think that there is something bigger going on there, that we have this fear that has been accumulated over the years in our subconscious that has said, this is who you are, this is what, and so therefore it causes us to be timid, to be fearful, to be arrogant, all these different things that has come out of this input and subconscious narrative that we have about ourselves. But what if there is something even deeper than that? What if we can move beyond our intellect, our subconscious ideas that we have about ourselves? What if we can move beyond the physical appearance? What if we can move beyond all of that and go into the very depth of our inner being and discover a transcending reality of who we are that is so much bigger than we can ever dream or imagine? Now, hear me out here. I wrote a book called Awakening to I Am Love. And I basically tell people there that your very core essence is love. Now, I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous to suggest that your very essence is love. I know it sounds ridiculous. I mean, if you were going on a job interview today, please don't tell anybody that you are love. I would not recommend that because people may feel like there is something strange going on there. But I think if you actually begin to delve deeper into the very understanding or discovery, this journey of discovering who you are, you begin to realize that that is your true essence. You are love. It's not something that you had to get from the outside. It's not something you get to become when you are worthy, then when you are good, when you qualify, when you've done everything right. It's the very core essence of your inner being. And I think, and I will talk about this today, that love is the very fabric of the universe. Love is the ground of being. It is the, how do I put it? It's the ground of being. It's the reality beyond visible matter. It's energy. It's the presence. It's the awareness. It is what we call God. Now, stay with me because I know some of you are hesitant to hear and use the word God because and some of you use it very freely. I have some who use it very freely. Some people don't like to use the word God because, and I think most people that I know still think of God as the sky God that thousands and thousands of years ago, before they had the information, the scientific data, before they began to understand the universe as we do today, that was their concept of God. God was living up there beyond what they thought was this oval, and God lived up there in heaven on his galaxy, beyond the stars on his throne. And that was their perception of God. And we see this today. People say, I pray to the guy upstairs. What does that mean? I'm not talking about that God. I'm talking about that which undergirds all reality. That which is the source of life, that which is the source of your life. I think in biblical text, there is this story that Paul, one of the primary writers of the Bible, he actually goes to Athens and he meets all these Greek philosophers, and the Greek philosophers that had written something that I think is so incredibly powerful. In God we live and move and have our being. In God we live and move and have our being. All of us. Every human being. You cannot escape God. You cannot escape the infinite. You cannot escape the ground of being because it is in all things. Love is the very essence of this life that is in all things. Of course, most of us are not aware of it. We're not conscious of this love. And as I'll begin to talk about in episodes to come, because I want to continue to explore this question of who you are, I want to show you that love is awakening to love is the primary purpose of every human being. And awakening to this presence, this true essence of you being, this true self within you that is one with the divine life, that is one with the ground of being, that is one with God, awakening to that is the primary purpose of life. And the moment that you awaken to it, you are aware of a oneness with that transcending life. And the more you awaken to that life, you become aware of your oneness with all things, including those people that are different than you, including those people who come from different backgrounds, from different religions, from a different race, from a different nationality, even who may have different and opposing values and beliefs to yours. You begin to realize that ultimately we're all one, because in Him, in God, we live and move and have our being. I know a tribal, and I know so much. I used to spend so many years in tribal Christianity, where you're either in or you're out. You're either part of the, it's us versus them. It's very tribal consciousness. It's a stage of consciousness that, where we interpret God as somewhere out there. And if you magically, or if you pray these magic words, if you utter these words and follow on this prayer, then you come into this place of salvation. And I think there's so much focus there on the intellect, and what I call in my book, the egoic mind. That is your conceptualized sense of identity, who you believe yourself to be, that is literally built a wall around, or has surrounded your true self, that we are so often not able to see our true essence, which is love, which is connected in oneness with the infinite transcending life, the ground of being God. And the primary purpose in life is to awaken to that love, to awaken to that oneness, to begin to understand this is who I am. This is what my life is all about. And now in order to do that, we have to be honest with ourselves and say, you know what, I want to be free. Because I've come to realize in my own life that it's when I awaken to this reality, when I awaken to this reality that is beyond my intellect, that is beyond my thoughts, that is beyond my physical appearance, because that all will change anyhow. Remember, when 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you didn't look the same way you do today. You didn't even think the same thoughts. At least I hope your thoughts have evolved somewhat. We all are continually evolving, but we are, and even physically, science is telling us, which is to me is fascinating, that basically all the atoms in your body are replaced. All the cells in your body are replaced between a few hours up to 9 years. So everything in your body, nothing is the same the way it was 10 years ago. What remains is a pattern. But none of the cells that you used to have are still there today. And so your thoughts are different, you think differently, you look differently, you don't have the same shape, you don't have this. There's a lot of things that have changed over the years, yet you continue to be you. So the question I have for you is this: what in you is you? I like what I heard many years ago. You are not your mind. You have a mind. You are not your body. You live in a body. You are spirit, or another word for it, you are consciousness. You have the ability to observe and experience life. And in my observation, you can either experience and observe life through this transcending presence within you, which manifests itself through love, or through your egoic mind that is defined by a plethora of outside external voices that have told you who you are. And so as we are sitting here in our homes, as we've been isolated, and I think it's a good opportunity to do what the psalmist said: be still and know that I am God. It's in stillness that you begin to awaken to this presence. It's in stillness you begin to become aware of this presence within you that permeates with love. For me, I do this every morning, almost every morning. I sit down and I just meditate. I focus on 3 words: peace, grace, and love. And as I come to that final stage, I'm just aware. The thoughts about tomorrow, or what happened yesterday, and the people that have done me wrong, or this person I don't like, suddenly it's no longer there. I'm just aware of this presence of love. And when I become aware of this presence of love, I experience freedom. freedom from fear, freedom from anxiety, worry, stress, from these plethora of negative emotions that overwhelm us and try to suck us in to living less than we are. So what I want to share with you is this. This is an opportunity. In the midst of everything that we're going through, it's an opportunity to awaken to that presence within you, awaken to love. That is more than a religious idea. It's more than a concept and a religious dogma. It's more than just praying some kind of prayer. And it's more than that. It's just becoming alive, having this sense of aliveness within you that now begins to see others through a new lens, begins to see others through a lens of unconditional love, selfless, universal love. And the more you become aware of this, the guilt, the shame, the fear, all these negative emotions will suddenly just dissolve. And you will come to realize that the God that you've been looking for up there, the sky God, He is right there in you. He's always been there. And then you come to that second part, that secondary purpose of life. And that secondary purpose of life is to be as Jesus said. When he spoke, he said in the Sermon on the Mount, and by the way, when he spoke in the Sermon on the Mount, he was speaking not to Christians, because there were no Christians there. Christianity didn't exist at that time. He was speaking to Jewish people. He was speaking to people from other different nationalities. It says there were people from Decapolis, which was Greek communities where people had all kinds of pagan gods. People come from all kinds of different backgrounds. And he said, you are the light of the world. Now, most of us are not aware of it. Most of us are not conscious of it. But when you awaken to this presence within you, you begin to realize, I am a light to the world. And as a light to the world, I shine forth love, compassion, empathy, forgiveness, generosity, because that's who I am. And I think right now we're in the midst of this coronavirus, this terrible disease that is causing so much anxiety and fear and worry and apprehension and uncertainty. But maybe it's a time for all of us to awaken to love and then show that love, exhibit that love, beyond our opinions on Facebook, beyond our well-rehearsed cliches and telling people scriptures and belief systems and whatever else that we like to throw out, beyond all of that, and just being conduits of this incredible presence that is within you, this presence of love. And as I said, I do this every day through meditation. I come to that point. So I encourage you to meditate every day. In fact, we have a 10-minute video that we put together. Not a video, sorry, 10-minute audio that you can download. If you go to my website, davidyoungren.com, it's free. You don't have to pay for it, none of that. You can just go there and download it. It's a 10-minute meditation where you meditate around these three things: peace, grace, and love. And we begin with gratitude, because the beginning of life is just being grateful that you have life. It's what opens your heart up. It's what removes the barriers from that hinders your egoic mind, that stands in the way for you to see the true essence of your being. You just say, I'm grateful for everything that I have. The egoic mind wants to accumulate, wants to be more, wants to be greater. So it wants to enhance its sense of self. It wants more titles, more recognition, more power, more money, more of something. But when you just come to a place of gratefulness and say, I'm just grateful for everything that I have, and then you begin to meditate on grace, love, and peace, this need to become something, this need to have something begins to dissolve within you, and you just realize that I'm a true expression of the infinite, of life, God, and that's my primary purpose in life. So I encourage you to do that, and then I encourage you to join me as we're going to do some meditation, guided meditations. I'm going to start doing it here. I know it's strange. People don't necessarily think it's, want to do that in public, but I want to do it on Facebook Live, Instagram Live. I want to do it on YouTube. I want to do some of these sessions with you because I know it's going to be so incredibly beneficial in your life. So thank you for joining me today, and thank you for everyone who liked, or if you didn't like, or if you listened, whatever you did. I'm just so thankful that you joined me today. Thank you. And remember, your true essence is love.